Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PowerDrift QuickEase and with something really interesting. Now, for me, this is one of the highlights of the Auto Expo 2025 because it's not a 1000 horsepower electric SUV, it's not some crazy sedan, it's not a luxury car. It is something that will help people actually get to where they're going. This is a mobility concept, okay? It's a last mile mobility concept. It's been made in collaboration. It's been designed by Hyundai. It's been made sort of together by Hyundai and by TVS. That's two companies coming together, big names from the two-wheeler world and the four-wheeler world coming together to do something that's good. Now, there are two concepts. One is this, that's the three-wheeler concept that we'll talk about in a little bit, and one is the four-wheeler concept. So I think let's start with this, and then we'll move you to that one. It's called E4W. It's essentially a little micro car that will sort of help people move from, say, a train station to their house, stuff like that, right? But again, it's all electric. It's all been sort of designed in a very sensitive way. There are some bits and pieces which are really cool, which I'll talk about, especially in the three-wheeler. But overall, this is a bit of a what would you call it? It's a bit of a study from Hyundai and TVS to see what sort of thing they can do together in this segment. And it's also very interesting to see Hyundai move to a commercial vehicle segment. So there are bits and pieces that are really cool. Like for example, the way the grab handle has been designed, or just the simplicity of the interior, or the fact that the screen is a little thing right there, which is just a simple screen with just the amount of information that you need. Or on the steering wheel, it doesn't say Hyundai. It has the 4 dots, which is Morse code H for Hyundai, which is of course something that we've seen on the likes of the Creta Electric and the Ioniq 5 as well. And again, no logos. It just says designed by Hyundai because they wanted to sort of have a bit of a mutual respect thing for TVS. TVS doesn't have logos on this, so Hyundai didn't put their logos on this. Again, very simplistic in the way it's designed, and people could have made it literally a box, right? It's a glorified four-wheel rickshaw, and people could have literally made it a box, but they haven't. They've actually put some thoughtful design into it. So you've got like these little curves and little bits and pieces, which are really cool. But otherwise, it is meant to be simple. It's meant to be replaceable. It's meant to have things that don't really break. It's meant to have things that if they break, can be replaced quickly. So a lot of eco-friendly materials have been used. You can see these little freckles in the plastic. Come close. Can you see the little dots in the plastic? That's all recycled stuff that's been used. You've got very narrow but big wheels, so that even if you do go over undulated surfaces and bad roads, which are of course everywhere, then it's not much of a problem. And it's not like it's not spacious. There is a huge amount of space. So for example, this has more space than a Creta. This has more space than probably even an S-Class does outright. But it's also simple. Like you've got like a little, you've got all these like sort of square holes everywhere where you can mount certain attachments. So there's a sanitizer here, there's a little fan mount there, there's a little mount for an umbrella there, and of course some USB ports in the middle as well. And now look, this is still a concept. It's not production ready yet, so it will head to production eventually. Let's go to the three-wheeler now, because it's got something that we can actually demonstrate and show, which is sort of shut down in this or closed in this, but we can show it more clearly on that. All of these vehicles will also come ready with assistance or with sort of access to people who are unfortunately not able to walk. So people who are, what's the correct term? I'm not even going to hazard a guess for the correct term for it. Differently able, I guess would call them. So basically, so this whole section here completely comes up. It's sort of hinged on the top, and this folds down, and there's a little ramp that's underneath here which comes out, and you can actually wheel a wheelchair in. If you come on this side, there's space for a full-fledged wheelchair. Even if it's a manual one, if it's an electronic one, you can actually just roll straight in and roll straight out. And that's thoughtful. And I spoke to some of the designers, some of the engineers at Hyundai, and they said this stuff is what they want to make standard across all these vehicles. Because why should people with a sort of disability or people who are differently abled not have the same chances at mobility that normal people who have legs that work do? So this is something that's really thoughtful, and I like people who do this. I like automakers who make an effort and be inclusive to people who can't or don't have it normal in life. Of course, this is a rickshaw. This is a three-wheeled version of that, which is a four-wheeled version. But again, same, right? Simplistic on here. The switch gear is very simplistic, and it has a handlebar as compared to a steering wheel on the four-wheel version. And now, look, this is not a new concept. An e-rickshaw, which this is at the end of the day, is not a new concept. But just the way It's been done just the way like the seats will be done with a little sort of transparent material, or not translucent material, or breathable material in the center and cloth on the sides. The way the seat belt has been integrated, although this probably will not come into production, but the fact that there is a seat belt here is also something that's well thought out. And just like storage spaces, just the way the little flaps on the bottom have storage spaces, it's very cool. Now, the other thing that I do want to talk about is the fact that e-rickshaws usually are designed as tools and not designed. In fact, some of them are not even designed. They're literally things that are brought in from China, rebadged here in certain cities in the northern part of the country. We all know where they are. And they are sold without service support. They're sold without, with really mediocre quality of parts and just general mediocre things, right? For a company like Hyundai, for a manufacturer like Hyundai and TVS to sort of come in and get into this space and give a quality product, even if it is at a slight premium price, I think it's actually great, because we all talk about last mile connectivity when we talk about EVs, when we talk about electric buses, when we talk about electric mobility in general, but nobody really does anything about it. The fact that Hyundai has done something about it, I think, is a commendable feat. And even like, for example, the wheel, right? It's a normal car wheel which has been sort of matched to a single mount suspension on the front, and it's not like a small 10-inch or 8-inch wheel with a really tiny tire. It's a normal car section tire. It's normal like 185 or 145 80 R13 set tire. So it's not like it's something that's really tiny, that's uncomfortable. It also has great ground clearance, and it's also got, I mean, when it came onto the stage, we could see the suspension actually working. So there is some thought which has been put into this. I mean, apart from that, maybe we'll just sort of go around again, and I'll just point out a couple of things that I think that are really cool. Now, this obviously is a gimmick for the concept. It won't make it to production, but this general design aspect is what will make it to production. For example, all these plastic panels which are aerodynamic, just generally, and this large windscreen in the front. Now, again, it's not something that will replace the car. I mean, even that four-wheel version is not something that will replace your car, even if your car is as small as, say, an old Alto or an old Maruti 800 or even a Nano, but it will help ease out public transport a little bit. Do I think the concept of a rickshaw should be completely replaced with something like this, which is a four-wheel product? I do, because that is inherently a safer way of transportation. Four wheels are safer as compared to three. It's a more stable product. But is there a need for something like this for a rickshaw to exist? I think there is. I mean, even here, a little step that folds out, you can put stuff on the top. It's just thoughtfully done. So there you go. These are two concepts from Hyundai, E3W and E4W. E3W here and E4W behind us there. And just overall, I think it's just a very good, very mature way of thinking of the mobility problem that does exist in a lot of cities, especially tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where public transport is just not as good as what we have in a Mumbai or a Delhi or a Bangalore, etc. So there you go, two nice concepts which are really honestly very impressive, and something that if you're visiting the Auto Expo, you should go and look at. And now, as we've said in other videos, we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We've hit 3 million subscribers today, and we've hit 1 billion views on YouTube. That's absolutely crazy. I think it's all you guys. We need to thank you guys for all of this. We're just sort of proud to be along for the ride, and we're just happy to be along for the ride. But as I've always said, tell me in the comments what you think. I genuinely, without being biased, think these two vehicles, these two products, these two concepts are important from a greater good perspective. Yep, that's what I'm going to leave you with. See you guys in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching.